I left Comey out again all night. I said he's sleeping on the couch, but that's not true. He was sleeping out on our park bench in the dead of night. He got a little wet. I have, on occasion, licked James Comey's face as a way to snap out of a episode. I don't know how you call these things because I was never properly diagnosed. However, I was sort of diagnosed by a friend of mine who is a psychologist, a practicing psychologist. One day I visited her, or she visited me, whatever. I was talking with her about an experience I had. Something had triggered me. I had a adrenaline rush. I didn't know it was an adrenaline rush. I just told her the experience. I said from one moment to the next, it was as if I was electrified and everything just shot through, kind of like an adrenaline explosion that just kind of boom went through my whole body. And for about 20-30 minutes I was almost like electrified. It took a while to get over it, and it was triggered by something which shouldn't have triggered such a strong response. And I'm going to relate yet another similar, very recent story, and that is that, I don't know, I was thinking about James Comey, which it happens. And all of a sudden, I had a very similar experience where adrenaline just rushed through me in this moment of like, because I realized that I didn't know if he carried. I read his book 3 times and I didn't know. I couldn't recall if he carried. And that where my mind in that moment took it, first of all, I mean, how do you rationalize this? I'm having a fucking panic attack because I don't recall if Comey carried or not. 2 things. First of all, my mind went immediately to cover my back, I'm going in, which you never say because that would clearly be picked up through the door, so you keep your fucking mouth shut, but you are going. So I'm not sure how all of this flashes through my mind at the same time giving me a panic attack, but it had something to do with being in a situation and all of a sudden realizing that you don't even know that your fucking partner is carrying. It's very inconvenient if you're at the door going, cover my back, I'm going in, which you never say because you're at a door and somebody could be behind the door, so you don't want to say, cover my back, I'm going in. You're gonna say, whatever, avocado. The thing that gave me the panic attack was that I studied A Higher Loyalty like a Bible. I read it 3 times, and in the moment that I realized that I didn't even know if he carried, I failed. I failed all my training. I failed. This was something that was so huge. I overlooked it. I didn't know. I couldn't recall if he ever even mentioned it. I could have been dead. I could have been dead. How I could have missed that is... So this is what post-traumatic stress can do to you. Who the fuck cares if James Comey carries or not? I mean, I could have said, is that a gun in your pocket or are you happy to see me? That would be the most relevant. But the sheer fact that I had made a record show, studied this book as a Bible, and then all of a sudden realized that one of the most fucking important parts I totally missed. Did he carry? And if so, where? Did he carry openly or did he carry concealed? What was he carrying? Does he even have any fucking aim? I didn't know. And it gave me a flipping panic attack. That I missed that I just missed that. It could have cost me my life. It could have cost me my partner's life. It could have... That's post-traumatic stress. And that is the reason why I have been known to lick James Comey's face, which I will not do anymore because he doesn't follow the evidence. So I have no use for this guy anymore. A higher loyalty. The gunman didn't know I was home that night. He had been watching through the basement window and saw my parents say goodbye to the figure lying on the floor of the family room, lit only by the television light. He probably thought that figure was my sister, Trish, but it actually was my younger brother, Pete. Trish had returned to college after fall break, and her youngest brother, Chris, was at a Boy Scouts meeting. Is that an important note? My entire body pulsed. I know that feeling. Exhibit 1. I'm sure we'll get there. These were my notes. It's so old that the sticky doesn't stick anymore, so whatever. Minutes after my parents drove away, he kicked in the front door of our modest ranch-style house and headed straight downstairs. October 28, 1977, the day that changed my life. The day that changed my life was a Friday. For most of the New York area, the prior few months were known as the Summer of Sam, when the city and its suburbs were gripped by a serial killer preying on couples sitting in cars. But for Northern Jersey, it was the summer and fall of the Ramsey rapist. The attacker was named for the dozen attacks that he had begun in a town called Ramsey. Our town, Sleepy Allendale, was just to the south. Hearing heavy steps on the creaking basement stairs and a low growl from our dog Pete, jumped up and moved. Oh, okay. So the dog is not called Pete. It is the brother, Pete, that jumped up and moved out of view. Sorry, I had to read this 3 times to realize that it was not the dog, Pete, that jumped. It was Pete, the brother. A growl from the dog, and then Pete Comey, younger brother of James, jumped up and moved out of view. You have to be exceptionally precise in your recollection of what happened, right? Because you have to recall everything honestly and accurately because, you know, justice and stuff. Hearing heavy steps on the creaking basement stairs and a low growl from our dog, Pete jumped up and moved out of view. But the gunman knew he was there. He pointed a handgun and ordered my brother to come out from his hiding place. He asked if anyone else was home. Pete lied and said no. At the time, I was a high school senior and a nerd with few close friends. As if to prove it, I was home that night finishing a piece for the school's literary magazine. It was to be a brilliant social satire of the cool kids, the bullies, and the suffocating peer pressure of high school. The piece was late and short on brilliance, but I had nothing else to do on a Friday night. You could have called me. Honestly, in 77, how old was I? Oops. 11. So maybe that's probably was not a good idea. How old are you? In 77, you were a high school senior, so you must have been... Oh, you were 16. Fuck, you just said that. I missed that. Didn't give me a panic attack. Missing whether he carried or not is one of those vital pieces of information that you need to know when you're a police officer and you enter a scene. Is somebody packed? Is a question that can be the difference between life and death. That's why I had a panic attack when I realized that I didn't know, after reading all this shit, whether he was packed or not. How did I fucking miss that? And then I thought about it for a long time. I didn't go back to the book. And I recall the scene where he was going into something and they offered him a gun and he looked at it going like, well, I wouldn't even know what the fuck to do with this thing, and he declined. That's how I remembered it. But I have to say that I have not sufficient recollection to make a statement that would qualify as a testimony. I probably have to read the whole goddamn book again just to know for sure, because otherwise this is gonna keep bothering me for the rest of my life. Anyway, Ramsey rapist. In the basement with Pete, the gunman demanded to be taken up to the master bedroom. Shortly I heard 2 sets of footsteps just outside my door, headed for my parents' room. Then I heard more sounds as the closet and the dresser drawer opened and closed. Out of annoyance and curiosity, I stood and opened the sliding wood door to the bathroom that connected my room to my parents'. Their room was brightly lit, and through the bathroom I could see Pete lying on the side of the bed, his head turned toward me, but with his eyes tightly closed. I stepped into the room, looked to my right, and froze. A stocky middle-aged white guy wearing a knit cap was holding a gun and looking in my parents' closet. Time slowed down in a way I have never again experienced. I lost my sight for an instant. It returned in a strange haze and my entire body pulsed, as if my heart had grown too big for my chest. Spotting me, the gunman moved quickly to Pete and put his knee in the middle of his back, using his left hand to push the gun barrel against my 15-year-old brother's head. He turned to me. "You move, kid, and I'll blow his head off." I didn't move. The gunman had angry words for Pete. "I thought you told me nobody else was home." The gunman then stepped off Pete and ordered me to lie on the bed next to my brother. Standing at my feet, he demanded to know where he might find money. I later learned Pete had money in his jeans pocket as we lay there and never gave it up. I like Pete. I like Pete. What happened to Pete? Is Pete still around? Where is he? I'm gonna Google Pete. Pete Comey. Let me say brother of James. Brother. That should do it. FBI Director James Comey, full statement on Hillary Clinton email investigation. James Comey on speaking out about Clinton investigation? Oh my god, that's the fucking first thing you find? Where is Pete? James Comey on speaking truth to power. I like you. Pete Comey. James B. Comey. What the fuck does that B stand for? An American lawyer who was the 7th director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation until his dismissal in May 2017. Born December 14, 1960. I'm 68. No, I'm not 68. I am born in 68. So you're 60 years old and I am only 52. Can you tell? And I'm seeing here a Baltimore Sun article, September 13, 1995. My baby died a month ago today. He was 9 days old. Colin Edward Comey was killed by a preventable infection. This must be his wife's article. Peter Comey, Vancouver, British Columbia. That must be another Peter Comey. Peter Comey is the Senior Director of Real Estate Operations. Oh, he is the brother of former director. I got him. Listen, if you Google me, I am the first that shows up. Why is it so hard to find Peter Comey? It's easier to find me. He has a husky. That's nice. Is this your brother? What the fuck is he wearing? Is that a smoking jacket? James Comey's net worth. $2 million book deal. $5 million in stock. Your portfolio is bigger than your shower stone. He earns a percentage of each book sold. So that's already like what? $4? He stands to make millions more in short order. Maybe that's why I'm so obsessed with you. Because you're so rich and handsome. Josh Kushner. Oh my god, I want to throw up. Why is Josh Kushner showing up in my feed? Fuck off. No one here from the Kushners. Okay, so I wasted about 20 minutes just Googling Pete Comey, who is a fucking real estate agent. I want to finish my story about James Comey and whether he was carrying or not. The moment I realized that that was a complete blank to me, I had this frozen cold inside, like boom, I'm completely frozen cold. I realized that it is completely and utterly irrelevant whether James Comey carries or not and what the fuck he carries and where. It didn't stop me from, after this cold feeling just hit me like I'm about to die, fuck knows where my mind took it. Of course, I realized in that moment that it's just a book. He is my imaginary friend on Twitter. There is absolutely no life-threatening situation attached to me knowing whether James Comey carries or not. And yet here I was, completely cold. And then beating myself up because how the fuck could I have missed that? And it didn't matter to me in that moment whether it was irrelevant. I knew it was irrelevant. I still beat myself up over it because I should have known. I read the goddamn book 3 times in total, made notes, studied him like a Bible, and I drew a blank on whether he carried or not. Like, I'm a failure. I'm a loser. I beat myself up so hard, it was not funny. And this is why I lick James Comey's face, which is a practice that I am going to abolish. Because of the Ramsey rapist that may or may not have been related to your fucking story. This is another way in which I cope. Due to Justin Trudeau, it's completely legal. I don't need a license because I grow this stuff myself. I also roll it myself because I'm from Amsterdam and I roll like a pro. At this point, James, you are still... Don't do drugs. The gunman had angry words for Pete. I thought you told me nobody else was home. The gunman then stepped off Pete and ordered me to lie on the bed next to my brother. Standing at my feet, he demanded to know where he might find money. Did the Ramsey rapist steal from his victims? Do you know this? I'm gonna Google it, so you have to answer me honestly and accurately. I'm going somewhere with this. It has to do with following the evidence. I later learned Pete had money in his jeans pocket, as we later, and he never gave it up. I gave it all up. I was hoping you would. I told him every place I could possibly think of. Piggy banks, wallets, dollar coins received from grandparents for special events. Everything. Your Hanukkah money? Oh, you probably didn't get any. Armed with my leads, the gunman left us laying on the bed and went searching. A short time later, he returned and simply stood above us, pointing his gun in our direction. I don't know how long he pointed it without a sound, but it was long enough that the moment changed me, and I relate to this 100%. I was certain I was about to die, and you know what, James? That moment was valid without making this gunman into the Ramsey rapist. That was not necessary. It wasn't. It was traumatic enough as it was. I don't know how long he pointed it without a sound, and those are the moments. I mean, if he's talking, the thing is, just as dead men are not talking, killers are also not talking. As long as they're talking to you, they're not killing you. It's when they shut up that you have to be careful. Do you understand? As long as somebody is, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you, you wait and see, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you. He's not gonna kill you, right? Because if you were going to kill somebody, you're not standing there saying, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you. Then you're just going to kill, right? Killers don't announce, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you. If they feel the need to say this, they don't really want to kill you. Just like real estate agents saying, I'm gonna sue you, I'm gonna sue you, are not gonna sue you, because if they're gonna sue you, they would have sued you. So somebody standing there saying, I'm gonna shoot you, is definitely not gonna shoot you. Because he's telling you he's gonna shoot you. It's certainly the drugs talking. Because normally I am extremely coherent. So the gunman left us laying on the bed and went searching. He didn't tie you guys up or anything? What the fuck was this thing thinking? Was the gun even loaded? This guy does not sound like a very capable and experienced criminal to me. He left you there and went searching. Okay. I'm sure you were not carrying back then, but whatever. A short time later, he returned and simply stood above us, pointing his gun in our direction. I don't know how long he pointed it without a sound, but it was long enough that the moment changed me. The moment changed you because he didn't make a sound. Do you understand? He wasn't saying, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you. And intuitively you knew that that was very dangerous. James, that moment was a extremely traumatic experience. Just as is. You didn't have to make this gunman into the Ramsey rapist to justify your mortal fear and the fact that this was a traumatic experience that changed you. He didn't need to be anything other than a gunman standing there silently with a gun pointed at you. Intuitively, you knew that your death was literally a touch. It's not a pull, because then you miss your target. I can't shoot with my left hand, I'm sorry. It is not a pull, it is a deliberate squeeze. You don't pull your gun, you squeeze. Now, I do understand that you were 16 years old and your developing mind had to cope with this. So your 16-year-old mind that was also hearing all about the Ramsey rapist, the press probably picked this story up as, was this the Ramsey rapist again? That struck the police. I think either you said something about it or I Googled it back then in 2018 already, because I was like, it probably says somewhere here in my notes, I was certain I was about to die. Hopelessness, panic, and fear smothered me. I began to pray silently, knowing that my life was about to end. That's when most people go, oh, fuck, yes, God, I better get in the good books now because I'm... In the next instant, a strange wave of cold washed over me and my fear disappeared. So you begin to pray, a strange wave of cold washes over you, and your fear disappears. And then for the rest of the book, you are a fucking skeptic. When you ask, it is given. Now, most people only ask when they are about to die, and I will link my story that I told this morning at the gate over here, where I was trying to have an intelligent conversation with somebody that was seriously considering to croak. I kept him alive, apparently. I had no idea. So your fear disappeared because you brought the situation onto him, right? And he made everything anew, including taking away your fear. That was Christ. So you have already met Christ on page 9. I began reasoning, thinking that if he shot... Oh, Comey, how do you live with yourself? So after Comey, in his mind, had his brother murdered, such a nice guy, I would roll off the bed and try to grab the gunman's legs. Like, who the frick do you think you are, Donald Trump? And then I began to speak, to lie, more precisely. I love you so much, Comey, no matter how full of shit you are. The lies came pouring out. I explained how estranged we were from our parents. Hated them. Oh, Comey, I love you. Are you seeing somebody? you really should see somebody. Didn't care what he took from them and wouldn't tell anyone he had been there. I lied again and again and again. Okay, so here's my notes. I'm just gonna start on my notes. This is my teleprompter. Oh yeah. Oh, this works. Okay. So, strange wave of cold. We got that. Okay, excellent. I lied. Okay, here it is. I lied. In self-preservation. I'll put it on the teleprompter. There. Lies always come from a belief that without the lie, you are vulnerable. Fear that if people would find out who you really are, they would reject you. I have no idea why I thought that was relevant at the time. Okay, so first you give him up, and then you're going all Trump and grabbing this gunman's legs, and then I began to speak to lie. Selling out your parents. Good job. The gunman told me, sweetie, you were 16 years old. You were 16 years old. And there was a fucking guy with a gun towering over you, silently, which you already intuitively realized was goddamn. I'm not gonna lick your face. However, I need a smoke. There's no more face licking. Okay? I'm not doing it anymore. Unless I can get my hands on some liquid acid. 2 little drops on your eyeballs. I might try to lick your face again. The gunman told me to shut up. Yeah. Who wants to hear your fucking backstory? It was effective. You know why? He started talking to you again. He told you to shut up. He told you to shut up, so you were effective. Your lies were effective. Think about that for a moment. The gunman told me to shut up. So the lies were effective, and ordered both of us to our feet. You were exceptionally effective, James Comey. You were exceptionally effective. You got him talking again, and now he was moving you guys on your feet. Dead men don't walk. Dead men don't talk. You got him talking, and now you have him walking you, which means that you're not dead because you're walking. You were effective. You were lying after you prayed. Get this. You prayed. I hear my gate open, and that freaks me out. Somebody just punched in numbers because I see somebody's going to come in, and it's going to be somebody that I know and that I probably even expect. I know it is. My daughter is coming home from work. But I had a moment of like high alert. Yeah. She works at the ski club just minutes away, and this is her direct supervisor, and he usually drops her off because it's on his way. So he's a local as well. Hi. Oh, you want more milk?
I do.
Oh, awesome. Let me interrupt this shoot.